Hey, what's up guys? It's Ovi from the Master Box Show and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Freeze Blade Bomber, that is the theme for today's build. I wanted to make the perfect combination of offense and defense while flying around the map, zooming on the battlefield like no other class in the game. A type of Falconer that doesn't rely on the dive bomb exploit that was finally fixed in a patch, able to smash empowered monoliths, bosses, arena, or any content they throw at you, generating heaps amount of ward in seconds while freezing all enemies in your wake, blocking, dodging, freezing and smashing enemies in your path. Be the absolute terror from the sky. I present to you the Ice Bomber. Enjoy. Alright, we'll be starting off with our rogue class, taking steady hands just to open up the nodes for our leveling process. This will grant us 3 dexterity and 15 health. Guile is up next and we'll just take 2 levels of this. This will grant us 20 dodge rating and poison resistance of 10%. This will open up the evasion. Whenever we are moving, we take less damage and we will take 1 level of this. This will reduce the damage by 4% and increase our dodge rating by 5%. After taking evasion, we'll just go back to steady hands and take 8 levels from this. So this will grant us plus 8 to our dexterity and plus 40 to our health. We'll now focus on agility. This will grant us haste for 1 second on hit. We can deal increased base damage based on the amount of our move speed. We'll be maxing this out to 5 as early as possible. This will grant us haste by 25% and increase the damage by 1% per move speed. After maxing this out, we'll now go back to evasion and max this out to level 5. This will further decrease the damage we take by 20% and increase our dodge rating by 25. Around level 15 to 20, your rogue passives will look like this. Now let's spend some points in our Falconer class. We'll be starting with our Wilderness Scout. Take 5 points from this. This will increase our health by 50 and our dodge rating by 25. After taking 5 levels, we'll now shift our focus to Outlander's Tenacity. This will increase our dodge rating and gain a portion of our maximum health as Endurance Threshold. So we'll be taking 5 levels of this as early as possible to increase our dodge rating by 35 as well as our maximum gain as endurance threshold by 15%. After maxing this out, we'll now shift our focus to our Stamina Rover, taking 4 levels of this as early as possible. This will increase our dodge rating as well as our mana regen by 12%. Not to mention the 4-point bonus that we really need. Whenever we dodge, we gain 5 mana per dodge. Right after that, we'll now shift our focus to Agile Hunter and add more dexterity to our build. And this will also help us to open up a few nodes that we need further down the levels. And we'll be taking 2 levels of this, granting us 2 dexterity. This will open up the Fencing Grace. We will be taking 5 levels of this. This will increase the damage of our one-handed weapon by 30%. But the most important thing that we need here is the 5-point bonus. We have additional block chance while we wield our one-handed weapon and the additional block effectiveness per point of dexterity. So that is 5% per block chance as well as block chance per effective dex by +2. Right after Fencing Grace, we will now go back to Agile Hunter and pump this up to level 6. This will increase our dexterity by 6 and granting us the 5-point bonus. Our Falcon deals additional throwing damage per point of our dexterity. This will open up new nodes for us and we will take evasion tactics as early as possible. This will increase our dexterity, increase our armor as well as our dodge rating, which is really good. We will be spending 5 points here just to open up the node that we really need for the build. Evasion tactics will grant us 5 dexterity here. Armor increase will be 10% as well as our dodge rating. We will be taking intuitive connection here. This will basically remove the animation lock of our Falcon strikes that we will most likely be spamming. We will be taking this. Right after that, this Relentless Talon is up next and we will be dumping 3 points here. That will be increasing our damage as well as our minion damage by 18%. The most notable thing here is the 3-point bonus. We regain health per point of dexterity when our falcon hits an enemy. After that, we'll be shifting our focus to deflect and weave. We'll be taking 5 points here. We will be adding more block chance, glancing blow chance, and health on block or glancing blow by 15. The 5-point bonus is all of our block chance will be converted to glancing blow, so that is 100%. After maxing out deflect and weave, we will now move forward and take Sky Assassin to max this out to level 7. This will increase our damage over time by 49%. This will also affect the damage of our Frostbite for the build. Tailwind will be up next. We'll be maxing this out to level 6. This will further decrease the damage taken by 6%, increase our move speed and dodge rating by 6%. Stymphalian Feathers is up next and we'll be maxing this out to level 6 to further increase our armor per 2 dexterity. We also activate the 4-point bonus. We increase our armor every time a falcon hits an enemy with a 2% chance. Final Souvenir is up next. And we'll just take 1 point here to be a gateway to open up a skill that we'll be needing for the build. This is the Strike Their Flank. We'll just take 3 levels of this. This will increase our damage by 18% and increase our slow duration by 30%. The reason that we will just take 3 points of this, we just need to deal more damage of enemies that are slowed by 2%. This will most likely happen because of the slow stacks that we'll be dumping to our enemies with this build. Right after taking 3 levels of Strike Their Flank, Coordinated Fade will be next. So we just need to put 1 point here. This will increase our health by 6, as well as granting us Silver Shroud whenever we use an ability to the left of our bar. Most likely that is the ability that we'll be spamming most of the time. If you don't know, whenever we get Silver Shroud and dodge an attack, we will be awarded with ward stacks. Up is we will now backtrack and finish up Agile Hunter and take the remaining levels to 8. We will be totaling this up to 8 dexterity and we will now take the other nodes that will further scale up our skills some more. That is Evasion Tactics, maxing this out to level 6. I like to take Expendency with just 1 level just to proc its effect whenever we use a potion. We gain haste for short duration, and the final node that we'll be maxing out will be Wilderness Scout, which is level 8. This will increase our health to 80 and our dodge rating to 40. Around level 75 to 80, your node passive for your Falconer class will look like this. For the remaining points from 80 to 100, I highly advise you take Cloak of the Shadows and maxing this out to 8. This will grant us around 8 dexterity and glancing blow chance by 16%, as well as going back to the rogue class and take dodge and parry, maxing this out to level 5. That will increase your dodge rating by 30 and further increasing your glancing blow by 15%. Finally, taking Thief Guard and maxing that out to level 8, further increasing your health by 48. We will gain 32 health per glancing blow. Now let's talk about skills. Our first priority of the skills will be Acid Flask. We will be setting this up to our first button to the left. This will proc the passive Coordinated Fate. We will be gaining 3 stacks of Silver Shroud to provide us with ward that will be very effective, especially in the leveling process. For the nodes, we'll be starting off with taking Caustic Concoction. We'll be increasing our poison chance. That will translate to chill chance, and we'll be increasing this to 50%. Right after that, we will be moving to the lower left side of the tree, and we'll take Contamination for level 1 here. This will grant us Poison Resistant Shred by 150%, opening up the node of Poison Pools. We'll be taking 1 level of this. Will poison enemies standing on its pool by 2 seconds per poison flask thrown. Right after this we'll be taking the southern left side. Lingering Toxicity will be maxed out for this level. This will further increase the pool duration by 3 seconds. Hydrochloric Acid will be up next, maxing this out to level 5. This will further increase the poison chance in the pool by 100%. After completing the southern left side, we will now be moving to the northern left and max out corrosive. We will now be further increasing the damage of our flask by 40%. Hindering mixture is up next, and we will take 2 levels of this, granting us slow chance by 50% and slow duration by 20% when we are inside the smoke. Lingering weight is up next, and we'll take 2 levels of this. This will increase the travel distance of our flask by 30%. For the remaining 2 levels, we will now round out everything and take 2 levels of caustic concoction, giving us a total of 100% chance increase to our poison. Next priority is our Falcon Strike, and we will take Falconer's Mark for starters just to open up the tree on the northern left side. After that, this will take Marking Strikes. The Falcon chance to inflict Falconer's Mark will be increased by 20%. The most important thing here is the Toxic Airdrop. This will basically grant abilities for the Falcon to drop Acid Flasks that will scale with our Acid Flask tree. We'll be taking 1 level of this. Opening up Flask Satchel, this will grant additional flask charges for all Falcon and maxing this out to level 4, giving the Falcon additional acid flask charges of 4. For the final node in the upper left side is the Parrotkin. We will be maxing this out to level 5. This will grant us the chance to replenish acid flask charges when we use an acid flask for ourselves. Right after that, this will be opening up Falconer's Journey here. It will also increase the damage of our Falcon per level by 1%, as well as scaling with our dexterity with the same value. Side by side will be next, and we will be taking 3 levels of this to reduce the cooldown of our Falcon strikes. We will now be moving to the southern side to take Train to Hunt. This will further scale our Falcon some more with the help of our global increased melee damage, as well as our increased throw damage will be added to the mix by 75%. After taking Train to Hunt, we will now shift our focus to Avian Stamina. We will take 1 level of this. The additional Falcon hits will be +1, as well as the Falcon's melee attack speed will be +4%. But the most notable thing here is we'll be taking the Hunter's Spoil, and this will basically grant us health per 2 total attributes, as well as mana gain per 40 total attributes that we have for our build. For the remaining levels, we'll be taking Is It a Bird to further increase the damage of our Falcon based on our global damage. So we'll be taking 2 levels of this, granting us 10% Falcon damage. Around level 75 to level 80, your nodes will look like this for your Falcon Mastery. Third priority is the Smoke Bomb, and we will start taking 2 levels of this, granting us the duration increase of 20%. After that, this will be taking Smoke Blades just to open up the nodes that we need on the southern left side of this tree. This will increase our damage and throw damage by +4. This will open up Umbral Assault that will be important for the build. The Smoke Cloud has a chance to create shadows each second at a random location inside the smoke cloud. We'll be taking 4 levels of this, granting us 100% shadow chance. Shadows are really interesting for the Falcon class because whenever you use a shadow, they will basically mimic whatever skill that you use. This works whenever you throw Acid Flask. The shadow will also throw Acid Flask or whatever skill that you will be most likely using. After completing the southern left side, we will now be focusing on the southern right side, starting with Generosity, and take 1 level of this to increase the area of effect of our smoke cloud by 20%. Enfeeblement will be up next, and we'll be taking 1 level of this just to open up our level some more. This will provide frailty to our enemies that are inside the cloud. Moonlight Bomb is up next, and we'll be taking 3 levels of this. This will grant us Silver Shroud stacks by 3. We also get 100% dodge, as well as gaining 100 ward per dodge. After completing Moonlight Bomb, we will now focus on take Lingering Fumes and maxing this out to level 5, increasing the duration some more by 50%. Now shifting our focus to Shrouded in Darkness, this will grant us the ability to proc Dark Shroud, giving us increased glancing blow chance and dodge ratings. We'll be taking 1 level of this. Glancing blow chance will be increased by 5%. Dodge rating will be increased by a whopping 50. Rapid Concealment will be up next to further increase the Dust Shroud frequency by 25%. Concealed in Carnage is up next. We'll just take 1 level of this for the sake of getting Crimson Shroud, further decreasing the damage we take per stack of Crimson Shroud that we have by 5%. Thick Smoke will also be a good choice. We'll be taking 1 level of this, applying slow stacks to our enemies by 1 whenever they are inside the cloud. For the final levels, we will now take Enfeeblement and maxing this out to level 4, granting frailty debuff to your enemies by 4 stacks, around level 75 to 80. This is the complete setup that you will be bringing from the mid game to the late game. The fourth skill that we'll be taking is the Aerial Assault. Most likely your first traversal skill in your leveling process will be Shift, so you can put points accordingly to that. After around level 45, most likely you will be unlocking Aerial Assault, and this will be your primary source of your traversal. We're gonna start off with our Avian Hunter here and maxing this out to 4. This will increase our cooldown recovery by 12% as well as our damage by 24%. Moving into the northern side, taking projectile training here just to be a gateway to further unlock skills that we need for the build. This will apply the throw damage modifier to our wing burst for 30%. Twilight Strikes will be up next. Whenever we use Aerial Assault, we will be proccing Umbral Blades on that location. So we'll be taking 3 levels of this. Umbral Blades on Feather Burst is 6. After maxing out Twilight Strike, we will now shift our focus to the southern side, Skyward Swoop. So we'll be taking this. Whenever a falcon hits an enemy, a portion of the Aerial Assault cooldown will be recovered when your falcon hits. Refreshing Resolve will be maxed out on this level. When we use our Aerial Assault, we recover a portion of our missing mana by 9%. For that, we'll be taking Coordinated Assault. Directly using Aerial Assault recovers a portion of our remaining cooldown of our falconry per 10 maximum mana that we have. Now focusing on the southern east, Aerial Prowess is up next. This will basically grant us additional damage when we use our Aerial Assault, giving us the Aerial Prowess buff. So if we max this out to level 3, Falcon's Havoc is our next priority. Consuming stacks of Aerial Assault now grants us Haste and Frenzy for a short duration per stack consumed. So that is 0.2 seconds and Frenzy duration per 2 seconds. For the final point, we'll just take Healing Gust to increase health recovered some more by 30%. Now this will be the complete setup that you will be bringing from the mid game towards the late game for your traversal Aerial Assault. Finally, the secret sauce on how our Frozen Bomber can generate thousands of ward in just a matter of seconds with the help of the Umbral Blades. We're starting off in taking Jagged Carvings, 1 level of this. This will increase our throw physical damage by 4 to open up our Sub-Zero intrusions. The physical damage of our Umbral Blades will now translate to cold damage, giving us a freeze rate of 24. By taking this, it will also open up the Cold Snap Strike and will take 2 levels of this, increasing the freeze rate some more by 24 and the chill rate by 24%. We will now be focusing on the southern left side here by taking Downfall, granting us a Dust Shroud chance of 12%. Edge of Obscurity will be up next, giving us more chance to proc Dust Shroud. Now we will take a really cool Soul Thief. This will basically grant us ward whenever we recall our Umbral Blades. So we will now take 4 points of this, granting us a total of increased attack speed of 16% and ward gain on hit for recall is 16. To further increase the effectivity of our shadows that will be generated by our smoke bomb, we will be taking Umbral Remnant. Whenever our shadow expires, they will also leave behind Umbral Blades. Now focusing on the northern left side, we'll be taking Sword Thrower for this level. This will basically change our Umbral Blades into swords. To increase its effectivity some more, we'll be adding the Cacophony of Steel, granting the Blade Storm ability for Umbral Blades. It basically spins the sword around in midair for 4 seconds. Moving along the tree, we'll take Steel Torment here. This will further increase the Blade Storm duration by 20%, while also increasing its area by 80%. And for the final node that we need for this section is the Loathing. Blade Storm will slowly seek out our enemies, turning them into homing blades of death, spreading chill and eventually freezing the enemies to death. After that, this will be taking Precision Cuts. This will change the trajectory of our Umbral Blades to directly focus on our targets, granting us the flexibility to target the location where our Umbral Blades will drop. From this point, we will now max out Steel Torment and increase the Blade Storm duration to the maximum by 40% and the Blade Storm area by 160%. For the remaining levels, we will be spending all of it to the Edge of Obscurity, granting us more chances to gain Dust Shroud while we are inside the Smoke Bomb. Now your Umbral Blade setup is complete. This is the complete setup that you'll be bringing along from your mid game towards the late game. Finally, just to summarize all of the skills that you'll be prioritizing for this build, that will be Acid Flask, Falcon Strikes, Smoke Bomb, Aerial Assault, and Umbral Shroud. Alright, now let's talk about the gear. The gear that I'll be mentioning to you guys is linked in the build planner. That is the exact gear that I'm currently running right now. It's not perfect, by the way. I'm still in the process of finding legendary potentials in order for you to slam some few really good affixes to the gear. But if you're running the build, most likely it will look like this, especially if you are pushing empowered monoliths, destroying bosses and arenas, so on and so forth. You can easily get this gear from the bazaar provided that you have the currency to buy the gear. Now we're gonna start off with the leveling process items that you might want to grab, starting with our vial of volatile ice. This will change how acid flask works. Basically, it turns your acid flask into ice flask using this amazing offhand catalyst. All of the poison chances that we were building in our acid node will now be converted into frostbite chance whenever we throw our acid flask, as well as increasing the area of effect, cold damage, and freeze rate multipliers. Second is our scepter, which is the frozen ire. It overall amplifies our cold damage, the spell cold damage per 5 levels, freeze rate, but the most notable thing here is the 15% chance to cast Tundra Nova on hit with our cold skills. The boots will be the Snowdrift, increasing the chances of our Frostbite on hit, cold penetration as well as our freeze rate like the other items, and the move speed scales by 1% per 2 dexterity up to 20%, which is really nice. Helmet will be the Snowblind, giving us cold resistance, additional freeze rate, armor, chances on hit on our cold spells, as well as to blind enemies by 40%. While also preventing us from being blinded ourselves. Now for the armor and the belt. They have some really good synergies here, starting with the Elecos Abandon. Throwing our acid flask consumes a potion in order to throw an additional potion flask that deals 167% more damage. It increases our throwing attacks, throw AoE, resistances, move speed, and our potion slot will be added by 2. While we are in the process of consuming potions, the belt will come really handy. This is the chains of Olaros, increasing our damage, necrotic resistance, as well as our stun duration on us. But the most notable thing here is whenever we use a potion, it increases our ward gain by 25%. For the gloves is the Frostbite Shackles. Mostly you will get this around 74. This is the final piece of our main armor set that we will be needing in order for us to make our frost build as effective possible. It increases the chances to apply Frostbite and hit, while also increasing its frostbite duration, freeze rate multiplier, and the reason that we can be ridiculously tanky because of our ice damage is that we gain 16 ward gain on freeze, plus 1% ward retention per 1% of our uncapped cold resistance. Now you guys have an idea what is the most important resistance that we will be stacking in order for us to get as much ward as possible so that we can increase the ward exponentially with our ice bomber. For the amulets, relics, and rings, there are 2 affixes that you might want to focus on. That is the freeze rate as well as the cold resistance to increase the amount of ward whenever we are clearing monoliths or just doing some stuff in the world. So I found this really good relic that increases my freeze rate and cold resistance some more. That also translates with my amulet. I also found this really nice freeze rate and cold resistance, as well as we can apply frailty on the side. For the rings, I highly advise you get rings that provide mana regeneration and health regeneration. Font of the Erased is a really good thing. It gives you flat out increase in your health and mana. Mana spent will also be translated to ward, and ward gained on hit per missing mana of your current health is lower than your missing health. The other one is the Jeweler's Star Dial. Flat out gives us 35% mana spent in ward, 58% increases spell damage. The coolest thing here is that when we use a traversal skill like our Aerial Assault, the stats that we have here will be tripled for 4 seconds, meaning that if you slammed a really nice exalted item to your ring like myself, I have this 259% freeze rate as well as our 40% cold resistance, the stats will be tripled for 4 seconds, which is insane. Alright, now just a quick guide for you guys on how the build works and how you generally play as our ice bomber here. So you just need to use our Aerial Assault. If you want to jump in your enemies there, it will leave under umbral blades on the ground. While also dropping your acid flask manually, your Falcon also drop acid flask. meaning that you can also increase your ward while you deal acid damage to your opponents. If you want to add more flair to it, you can just drop a smoke bomb there and your illusions or your shadows will be the one to drop the umbral blades. Jump around again while picking up all of the potions that you find to use as fuel for the falcon to throw umbral blades or acid bombs if it wishes to. So just drop it there, jump around, dump your acid flask, pick up the potion, stack freeze rate, gain ward, really easy. Drop it there, freeze there. You see the enemies just are hanging around there, frozen, like they're nothing. That, jump around, and hit some enemies. That is why this build is really nice in arena, because you can just stay at the center and just drop acid flask while dishing out heaps of damage to the enemies. And now it's done. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching the video. This is the Ice Bomber build that can tackle any content that you want to throw it into. Really powerful war generation without the use of that dive bomb exploit that was already fixed in the latest patch. Would love to know about your thoughts as well as your questions and clarifications in a comment down below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you guys enjoy the build. It really lets me know that you guys are enjoying the series. Shoutouts for all the people subscribe and keep supporting the channel. I really appreciate you guys for all the amazing support, and for all of the people who have subscribed yet. Thank you for watching my videos, and I hope I earn your subscriptions in the future. But if I earn it today, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. If you want to support me directly, please consider joining our D20 Rollers Club by hitting the join button, as well as Patreon if you want to go that route. For all of the Patreon members, thank you guys for joining our amazing club. You guys are awesome. Finally, that's it for me. I'll see you soon on the next Master Box Show. Peace out. Bye, guys.